Welcome to the Talking Thunder podcast. We are back with another episode. My name is BT, and I'll be your host for this episode. And we're so glad to have everyone here. Today is April the 6th, 2025, and we are going to do a recap of some of the latest Thunder games and events that are happening, or that has happened this past week. Before we dive into the 4 basketball games that Thunder played this past week, let's talk about the upcoming schedule for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder has to play the Lakers, the Suns, the Jazz, and the Pelicans. For people who may not think that these last couple of games don't matter because the Oklahoma City Thunder already has the best seed in their conference locked up, these games still do matter. Just because the Thunder are the number 1 seed in the West doesn't mean that these last 4 games don't matter. These last 4 games are important for 2 reasons. Chemistry. Chemistry is very important when going into the postseason or making a postseason run, especially if you had players out due to injuries or players who have not been able to play with the team throughout the regular season. So having a good collective chemistry is great to have in the playoffs because you can know what to expect from your other teammates, from your other players, and how certain schemes and plays will run with these players. The Oklahoma City Thunder has definitely had injuries, especially in the past couple months. Both Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams were out for stretches throughout the season, so it's very important that they are comfortable and feel that they can play their best brand of basketball along with the other members on this team. The second reason why it's still important for the Thunder to take these games seriously and end out these games very strongly is because the Cleveland Cavaliers still have the opportunity to end up having the best record in the NBA. And if the Thunder play them in the finals, if the Thunder ends up playing the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals, then the Cleveland Cavaliers will have the home seed for that series. And that's important because in most series, I think it's about 70 to 75% in the NBA, the home team wins the series. So yes, home court advantage is still very important, and that seeding is still very important. So hopefully the Oklahoma City Thunder can take care of business these last 4 games and end up having the best seed in the NBA to help them in their playoff ventures. So moving on to one thing I want to say before we move on is that also there are 4 games left in the season. If you have not seen the Oklahoma City Thunder and you had the opportunity to, and you're a big Thunder fan or like any of the players, go see the Thunder. This is a very historic season for the Thunder. It's a very historic season for basketball, and you can be a part of it and say that you watch history be made. This team may end up having the best statistical defense of all time, that doesn't happen that often. So that's amazing. And that's something to be celebrated about the Thunder. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander may end up having the MVP or being the MVP of the league this year, which hasn't happened for an Oklahoma City Thunder player since Russell Westbrook in his triple-double season, which was almost 10 years ago. So definitely, if you like the Thunder and you have an opportunity to, please go see the Thunder. This is history in the making. Now, on to the games this week. We had 4 games this week. The first one was the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Bulls. The Chicago Bulls, for those who don't know, were on a run going into this game. For the end of January till the very beginning of March. No, till now. We're playing some of their best brand of basketball that they have played throughout the regular season, this season. Giddey, Vucevic, Kobe White were really starting to show how good this team could be offensively once all of their pieces are kind of clicking and gelling together, since they lost some players in the trade back in February. So this team is really showing what they can do with their new starting five. They had some very good showings against the teams like the Kings, the Nuggets, the Lakers. And going into this game, people were expecting for that to continue. But the Thunder, their defense was just hounding and all over the place. Every time that the Bulls would try to create mismatches or create opportunities for them to score the basket, the Thunder were just always in the wrong place for the Bulls, the right place for the Thunders to put themselves in the best position to defend against their offensive scheme. So the Bulls, how they play offensively is that they play through Josh Giddey. If you can slow down Josh Giddey, you can slow down their whole offense, because nobody else on the team is a good enough playmaker or passer to get other players involved, to get other players to score the basket outside of Josh Giddey. And the Thunder did a very good job of that. Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso were on Josh Giddey the whole entire night and slowed him down and prevented him from being able to score the basket like he would want to and getting other players involved. And throughout this whole game, the Oklahoma City Thunder basically was leading the whole entire game in scoring. And it was very hard for the Bulls to start to come back and claw their way back once they were already down by 10 points in that game. This is a very typical Oklahoma City Thunder game if you've been watching them this season. Very, very standard. Their defense looking very dominant. And this is kind of what you can expect from this team if you've been watching them this season. Similarly to the second game that they played this week was against the Pistons without Cade Cunningham, their star player. Similar things just happened. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder, once they were up, the game was basically over, because every time that the team would try to claw back, it would be hard for them, because the Oklahoma City Thunder would then get more aggressive to slow down the other team from scoring. Along with that, the Oklahoma City Thunder has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's the juggernaut offensive player on their team, to help them get points. Whenever they need a point, Shai's is always getting timely buckets, timely shots, making timely shots again. The Bulls would be down 10, or basically down 10 the whole entire game. And when they would cut the lead down to 4, Shai would just then go on another stretch where he scored another 2 buckets here, another 3 buckets here, and then all of a sudden they're back up to 10-15 point lead. And it's very hard for a team to win when those are the odds that they were facing. Is very challenging. To my Pistons fans, this loss is not indicative of how good of a team you guys are. You do not have your best player. You guys are the 5th seed in the East and have been playing phenomenal basketball and have nothing to be ashamed against this loss, because you guys played definitely well, especially without your star player. So these first 2 games were typical Thunder basketball games that people have been expecting from all season, and they look great. Now these last 2 games are different. Against the Houston Rockets, the Oklahoma City Thunder did not play their best. Mainly their star player, Shai. He had a good game, but not a great game for Shai, which is what you need your stars to do when you want to win games in the basketball, when you want to win games in the NBA against other good teams like the Houston Rockets. They're the 2nd seed in the West. Only team ahead of them, Oklahoma City Thunder in the West, seeding-wise. So Shai, he just seemed a little bit off tonight. Still played very well, scored 22 points, but he wasn't his usual self, which Shai is the offensive juggernaut of the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's the one that helps players get involved in the offense. He's the one that basically creates a lot of opportunities for other players on his team to score. And when he's not playing his best brand of basketball, that becomes a lot harder. And the Oklahoma City Thunder falls victim of being very, very stagnant. Now, luckily, in this game, the starting five were very, very competitive in terms of their offense. The issue that they faced was everyone else besides the starting five. The Houston Rockets were just unbelievably offensively tonight, mostly because of their two star players, Jalen Green and Sengun, both scoring 30 points. So when you have two players like that having very, very good scoring, very good scoring nights in terms of output and efficiency, it becomes tough to win those type of games. And even though the Thunder, like I said, their starting five played pretty well, their bench players were not able to score enough offense, score enough points in order to keep up with what the Houston Rockets were doing in this game. This game was a very competitive game all the way down to the fourth quarter. The last couple of minutes of the game, the Thunder were definitely in it and could have still won it, but the Houston Rockets just did a very good job of just closing this game out, which is very good for them going into the playoffs, because you need to know that your team can win very highly competitive games if you expect to win anything in the playoffs, and this was a good showing for them. If you're an Oklahoma City fan, I wouldn't be too down about this. The Thunder were able to stay very competitive in this game without their best player having an amazing game, which is kind of a concern for the Thunder, because once again, Shai's their main passer, main playmaker. If that person's not playing well, it affects the whole entire team offensively. So the fact that they were still able to be competitive and almost win a game against the Houston Rockets where their two best players scored 30 plus points, that's nothing to be ashamed of. The likelihood of your two best player going off for that many amount of points and being very efficient in the playoffs is not likely, especially in a 7-game series. To do it 4 times in order to win, that's very, very, the odds are very stacked against that happening. So if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, you can definitely not see this as a horrible, horrible loss and be excited about what's to come in the playoffs. Now, this next game, the Lakers, is going to be a little bit tougher. The Lakers is a likely opponent for the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs, so this game was kind of heartbreaking to see as a Thunder fan. But we're going to get into this. I think the score ended up for this game ended up being 126 for the Lakers to the Thunder's 99 points. So kind of a big gap there in points. The Thunder, they just didn't play that well in this game. And not only did they not play well, the Lakers played amazing. The Lakers scored over 50% from 3. If they're scoring over 50% from 3 in any game, they're going to win that game 9 times out of 10. So there's nothing bad to be said about that. The Lakers' offense was just very, very, very good. Where the Thunder should be I'm not concerned, but what lost them the game was their defense. Their defensive identity that they are known for. They were not as aggressive. They were not being timely with their defense. Not being very aggressive enough to deal with the Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura and LeBron James. Their defense wasn't aggressive enough, and their two bigs were maybe a liability in this game. Chet Holmgren, 7 foot tall, 7'1". Isaiah Hartenstein, also 7 foot tall. They're the two tallest players on the team. There's this thing called small ball. The small ball lineups take advantage of bigger players because they're not as fast and not as mobile at guarding perimeter-oriented players and smaller players. So when you have Chet and Isaiah, who are the two slowest players in the court, it doesn't do them really any favors when it's trying to guard against smaller players. And the Lakers were able to just take advantage of that tonight and score a whole bunch of threes. And yeah, really took advantage of the fact that the Thunder may struggle with this team later on in the playoffs if this is the lineup that they're going to run. If you have these two bigs, it does make them slower and harder for them to guard smaller players like Luka or LeBron, or imagine calling LeBron small. I know, but in comparison to 7-footers, he's small. And Austin Reeves and some of the smaller guards they have, like Caleb. It's going to be tough for the Thunder to play this team in the playoffs. They still have an opportunity to win, absolutely. It should be favored to win, but we got to see what type of adjustments that their coach is going to make in order to play against this team. Also, offensively, the Thunder were not playing that well. It seems like none of the players were in the rhythm. None of the players were. It seemed like none of the players were very engaged offensively, which was a little bit concerning. But it's and the Lakers' defense was a little bit to play in that, but I think it's more so the Oklahoma City Thunder just looked tired after playing 78 games and being very dominant, playing very hard, being very aggressive. It's not uncommon for teams to have nights where they're just off because they're just tired, especially since they got to play this team again in 2 days. So it just seemed like they just were fatigued and didn't have the energy to keep up with this Laker team that was firing off from all cylinders since the very beginning of the game. Which isn't an excuse, but if I'm a Thunder fan, if I'm concerned, I'll be a little bit concerned. We need to see what type of adjustments are going to be made to play against Luka Doncic and this new Luka Doncic and LeBron James Lakers team. But if any team that can figure it out, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have a small ball lineup that they can run out to, making Chet just like the only big out on the court, and then put him around smaller players like Alex Caruso, who's a great defender, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That lineup is a very effective small ball lineup that they've done earlier in the season. And they also have the Jalen Williams, the second Jalen Williams with the I, not with the E, who's also another good small ball backup center who's 6'9". So I'm not too worried about the Thunder because they have different play styles that could be effective against the Lakers, but we definitely need to see what those matchups actually look like, especially since the Lakers is a team that can end up playing as soon as the second round. Yeah. But anyway, there's still OKC basketball left within the regular season. If you have an opportunity to go see them, definitely go check them out. This is a historic season, and this team is amazing. If you're a Thunder fan, you have a lot to look forward to. The playoffs are coming off, and it's about to get very, very exciting for the potential of Oklahoma City winning their first championship ever if they're able to win. And this is arguably the greatest Oklahoma City Thunder team of all time. And I think arguably within the franchise's history, even if you include the Sonics history for the Seattle Sonics history. Yeah, this Thunder team, I think, this Thunder team has beat the all-time record for wins for the franchise history. Even when you include the Seattle Sonics stuff. So this is a very, very proud team. This is a very good team to be proud of. And we look forward to see what they can do in the postseason. Thank you for listening to the podcast. This is the end of this episode, and we'll see you next Saturday for another episode. Peace.